What do you think, as you discern the times, Natasha, are some of the biggies that we need to be having conversations? Like, picture giving our kids, a toolkit before they leave home. How do we need to equip them? And what are the questions that they need to be thinking about how to answer?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of those questions, but I think that for a lot of parents, they go straight to the cultural issues. Every
Mm-hmm.
parent wants to ask the questions, how do I talk to my kids about same-sex marriage, for example? This is like such a hot topic, and parents always want to have more content about that. But I really don't write a lot about the cultural issues, as important as they are, because ultimately, they're a question of worldview. If you
Mm-hmm.
keep digging down into this, and I actually just wrote a blog post about this yesterday that's gone kind of viral about how to disagree better with people. And in that blog post, I talk about how there's this whole chain of thought behind things. And it starts with people's understanding of facts, and then it goes to interpretations, and then it goes to applications. And people who disagree with one another are often disagreeing on the wrong level. And I find that when it comes to these hot topics of cultural issues, people are trying to argue up here, but it's really just a product of their worldview. And so a lot of times if a parent says to me, how do I talk to my kids about this? The first thing I'll say is, well, let's back up a second. What is your child's view of the Bible right now?
Mm-hmm.
And it's always surprising to me that many times the parent will say either, well, I'm not totally sure,
Mm-hmm.
or this is something that, I'm working on with them, but I don't think they really believe right now. Well, that would be the fundamental issue to really get back to with your kids, rather than address the cult. Get back to, well, why do we have reason to believe, number one, that why do we have reason to believe, number two, that Jesus was raised from the dead, which is the truth test of Christianity? And why do we have good reason to believe that the Bible is actually God's word? That's number three. These are three huge questions that kind of underlie everything with our worldview as Christians. And I think parents skip over them a lot of times and go straight to, well, here's what you should believe, and here's how we need to apply it. And I'd say within questions, when you look at the data today and you see the trends of kids walking away from faith and what they're kind of walking toward, by and large, it's atheism and agnosticism. And so they're walking away from a God concept. They're walking away from theism. So I'd say the number one thing that parents jump over that about is, why should we believe that God exists? What evidence is there for God's existence? Such a huge, huge question. And it's one that a lot of parents don't feel comfortable talking about.